Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show, financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby Kinzer.
And I'm Thomas Doty.
And we here like we are every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, broadcasting around the world. Thank everyone for tuning in. Like always, we like for you to click on the like button. Also share this on Facebook Live. You can share it. And also, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, and we're looking forward to all the comments, because remember, we say we want to make this interchangeable conversation, interactive conversation, and put your comments in there, because that also helps us with our traction. So we really appreciate if you do that. But click the like button and also the heart button. Now, last week we ended our two-series session on the psychology of money. Got great reviews, so many great comments. So we thank everybody for tuning in on that. But we got some good stuff this day because, oh my God, the market has been going so crazy. But with that, we want to be giving you some ways that you can actually generate and save more income by not paying all of these unnecessary fees. I mean, it can really cost you. I mean, I'm talking about hidden fees, known fees, or just being naive to fees and not knowing that you can just negotiate your own fees. So we want to talk about that this week. But before we get started, Dope, what's going on with the stock market?
It's been rough, my brother. It's been rough. This is that volatility that we've always talked to you about. The market has been reacting to crisis over in Europe, and people are wondering what's going to happen with gas prices and what that will do to inflation, and the market's reacting. Now, these things always happen. We've talked about this in previous shows, that volatility is going to happen. It doesn't usually have a long-term effect on investors. The market goes crazy for a while, but then things settle back down. Think back to 2008 when things were going crazy. The market ultimately recovered. Things ended up growing as the Dow has done since 1929. And so this is a time to remain calm. If you've been listening to our show, your risk level should be where you are comfortable accepting the volatility. And as Bob just said, this is the time to look for deals, to look for bargains, and actually to buy. And if you're doing it systematically and consistently, like we always talk about, you're buying more shares at a lower price. So this is the time to stay calm. It's like one of the things we mentioned in our show, that investors who don't do well end up selling when the market is down and buying when the market is high. They get caught up in the euphoria of everything going good and they buy. And then on the opposite end, they get caught up in the dismay of everything going bad and they sell. You want to do the opposite. You want to buy low, sell high. But we always recommend consistent buying, because to try to time the market, you're not going to win that battle. You may luck up a couple of times, but over the long term, you're not going to do well trying to time the market. Okay, let's do a quick market update. The Dow for the week is down about 4%. It started the week at about 34,600. It's dropped 4%. The NASDAQ has dropped about 3.5%, picked up a little bit today. That's still a pretty good drop. Some of my main holdings are Microsoft, which has pretty much stayed flat. That's, again, I'm never recommending, but I'm saying me personally, I think that's just a great stock to hold. It's held steady during these crazy times. When the market takes a hit, it goes down. When the market shows any semblance of recovery, it comes back strong. Tesla has had a big drop. It started the week at 916, ended the day at 800. So it's about a 13% drop. But again, that's another company I believe in, just because that guy's doing some of everything, going to the moon. I mean, he's a definite entrepreneur. Apple is down about 5% from 172 to about 163. And my Pfizer has been going down. It's closed the week at about 46, closed the day at about 46, started the week at about 49. That's about a 6% drop. So again, stay calm. Remember, you're investing for the long term. Stay calm.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot, and remember when we talked to you all about investing, we know there's a lot tied to it, and we know it's not for everybody. But we also do know that over time, if you do invest in the stock market, you can receive the benefits from it. So we know that when we share our stock holdings, we're not trying to influence you to buy the stocks. We just want to let you know about how our stocks and our portfolios are doing. For instance, though, my NXPI, which is a semiconductor that's in almost majority of all the cars, because cars are run by, the smart technology and with all the computers. And NXAP is it's actually it's up $6 a share today. But like all stocks have been taking a beating, and the market was crazy how it was down almost what I forgot how much it was down today. Though was it about
900 points, I think, at one
how
point.
much?
I think it was down 900 at one
Yeah,
point.
I was going to say that 700, but it was 900 points. But it ended up today. The Nasdaq ended up today 436 points, and that was crazy. That was 3%, and the Dow was up 92 points, and the Standard & Poor's was up 63 points after all those big drops. But 5 days ago, the Nasdaq was at loss over 4%, close to 5%, 651 points. And the Dow, wow, no. Yeah, what I really want to share with people is the year to date, though, so they can see the difference. The year to date, the Nasdaq has dropped 2,171 points. That's almost 14%. The Dow 30 has dropped approximately 3,000 points at almost 9%. And the has dropped about 10% year to date. And those numbers are kind of astounding, man. But like I said, dude, I've been tracking this other stock called OZOP, OZOP, Energy Solutions. They like one of those super chargers. And with the infrastructure these days, bill that passed, they have allotted billions of dollars to building up the infrastructure for superconductors for electric cars. So I just believe one of those companies that are going to be doing superchargers are going to benefit. And I'm just tracking. I got into OZOP. It was like about 3 cents a share. And at $1,000, you can get like 27,000 shares. And just tracking that. And that was up to 4.4%. But my General Electric was down, though. It's been taking a beating. And the reason why I got the General Electric earlier, because General Electric was in every, all kinds of markets, the combines, aircraft carriers, submarines, trucking. Then they got rid of their finance and that sort of changed things. But I'm still counting on General Electric to come back, though. And they actually had a reverse stock split. But let's talk about the cryptocurrency, though. Now, the cryptocurrency has been taking a beating. Like I said before, 2 months ago, and this is what you look for, ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking at cryptocurrency, one of the things to track is the market cap, that is, have how much it has involved in the market, its place in the market. And then you look at, obviously, the price. So 3 months ago, the market cap for all cryptocurrency was at 2.7 trillion. Last week, it was down 1.9. This week is down to 1.78 trillion. Last week, this time, the number one cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. Last week, it was at $40,583. Today, around 6 p.m., it was at $38,378. However, Bitcoin is still the number one cryptocurrency, and the market cap, at one time, it had half the market cap of $1 trillion. It is down to 723 billion market cap. And that's because a lot of people were selling off dope, fear of the market, and also for tax reasons. At the end of the year, a lot of people sort of cash out and take the tax advantages or want to go ahead and realize those. And I want to remind you all, this is tax season, and all the individuals that were involved in cryptocurrency. Let me tell you a little secret. Don't be messing around with Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam, on the front of the 1040, the first question is, have you or do you have cryptocurrency? And let me tell you something. You can pass around and try to lie, but we're going to be talking about fees today, and that also includes penalties and fines. You do not report that you have cryptocurrency, you can end up with penalties, paying interest, and if you lie on a federal form, which what the IRS form is, that's a criminal offense. So some of y'all people who've been messing around, had all these cryptocurrencies jumping in and out, you better make sure you track and represent your cryptocurrency on your taxes correctly, because
Hey,
you,
but
yes,
it's reported, and you got to realize it's reported to the IRS on a 1099. So that information is being reported to the IRS. So when they look at the tax return, they're going to match those two. And if you don't show that transaction, you will be getting a letter.
Well, some people say, well, wait a minute. How do we report it when it's not regulated by the SEC? This is what people don't know. You're right. The cryptocurrency is not. The companies, they are not regulated. But the exchanges are registered. Most of all the exchanges that are legitimate are registered with FINRA, the Financial Industry Watchdog. So that's how it's being reported. Because a lot of people, if you hold it in a cold wallet, is it cold wallet though? Yeah, cold wallet. They don't know. That's no question. But if you've been exchanging it on exchange, they will know. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Hey, Bob, one more side note. El Salvador has made Bitcoin a legal currency.
Yes.
And they're encouraging their people to do business in Bitcoin, and a lot of transactions are happening in Bitcoin. The government is encouraging people to get into Bitcoin as an investment, and that's all well and good when it's going up like it was earlier
in
or late
November.
Last year, I should say. But this year, the opposite has been happening. It's been going down. So as quick as that value has gone up, it's gone down just as fast. But it's just interesting that a country has decided to jump into that market and really push Bitcoin as a standard of currency. And for me, it just makes so much sense to have something that you can avoid paying somebody a fee, as in a credit card or a bank transfer. If you have Bitcoin, I owe Bob $100. I can give if I have Bitcoin, I can just give him $100. There's no transaction fee. There's no Square Cash. Wait for 3 days to get your money, or no service charge if you get your money early. So that's why I'm a proponent of Bitcoin, and that's why I've been investing in it periodically, and probably will continue to. But again, that's money that if it goes to zero, it won't change my life much.
And this is the thing with Bitcoin, though, if I may entertain this subject for another minute or so. The question with Warren Buffett, why he doesn't want to get involved with Bitcoin, because he said it has no use. And that's what's the whole thing why cryptocurrency was created, as a peer-to-peer transaction to cut the middleman out, to be used. And that's how what they call fiat currency usually has its value, because it has usage. For instance, like gold. Gold has a value, but it also has usage, right? It's in phones, it's in semiconductors and things like that. Even like when you talk about fishery, where people have cryptocurrency in that, you can, sell fish, it's different cryptocurrency, different things that have usage. That's why in the gaming area, the video, especially gaming and with gambling, but also with videos, they're using cryptocurrency as a means of transactions. And so the more that would gives cryptocurrency more value, the more uses it has other than it just being a digital asset with no usage. So anyway, just wanted to share that right quick. Hey, Doe, the Consumer Report says fees, we hate them as much as you do. And not just because all of that nickel and diamond adds up to a pretty penny. It's also because they can be hard to escape. Consumers pay $2.4 billion per year in credit card late fees. Did you hear what I said, though? $2.4 billion in late fees, something that you can avoid, and $800 million in expedited payment fees to avoid those late charges. We call for $31 billion annually in debit card overdraft fees, and that's a lot. That's like $30 a pop penalties for payments that banks authorize in the first place. Airline fees can be just as bad. Airline fees collected $8.6 billion though in baggage and exchange fees. $8.6 billion in baggage and exchange fees. Spirit Airlines, not to pick on one, but for example, ropes in with it claims the ultra low fares they have, then gouges you for $90 to check your first bag to the airport, $110 for the second bag, and $100 for the carry-on round trip. That's money you can use to save for retirement, give to charity, or even a really nice dinner for two. So some services use hidden fees to pad their bills with unexpected costs. Asking about hidden fees or simple fees that are not obvious may save you from a higher bill than expected. The good news is that most of these fees are avoidable, especially if you're willing to make a couple of phone calls and threaten to take your business elsewhere. Yep. So many fees can be avoided, though, or minimized. So today, we know we've talked about a lot of these in different aspects and different areas, but today we want to focus totally on avoiding unnecessary fees that can add up and be very costly.
Yeah, Bob, it's just in getting your way of thinking. Every transaction is a negotiation, is a transaction, and there are various parts of that transaction. And as Bob just mentioned, a lot of times fees are an added part of the transaction, and you need to pay attention to those and change the way you think about just accepting fees. So it's, again, we talk about looking for extra money to put into the stock market. This is one way to do it. Cut these crazy fees.
So let's start off, though. Let's talk about the area of banking where there's so many fees.
Oh man, it's crazy. If you look at the first thing, you got to look at your bank. Look at what you get for free. Find out what's included in your account, because a lot of times some banks will give you free wire transfers or certain things you get for free. Find out what they are so you know, so you don't get nickeled and dimed on those fees. Understand what your contract is, understand what you're getting, and make sure it fits the way you do business. If it's a situation where you write a lot of checks, make sure there's no per check fee. If you use a lot of ATMs, if you go get cash a lot, make sure you pick a bank with a wide ATM network so you aren't paying those $2 or $3 fees to get your own money. Makes no sense at all. Try to stick within your network or go someplace that doesn't charge a fee. When I lived in Pennsylvania, the Get-Go's and the what's the other place? Sheets had no ATM fees. So I'd make sure I'd go in there. And you got to stay away from some of these gas stations that have the fees, and they only let you take out a couple $100. And then if you needed $400, you got to do 2 transactions, so they get to hit you with fees twice. Those are the ones you really got to watch. And then you got to watch your overdraft fees. That's another one. And it's probably not the most polite thing to say, because sometimes everybody might get caught short, but for the most part, that's almost a dummy fee because you're not paying attention to your balance, and for some reason you overdraw, and the bank gets money for you overdrawing. And it could be 25 or 35 bucks. Now I've been reading that a lot of banks are starting to cut back on those, but still they're looking for every opportunity they can to get money, and that's an easy one, especially if you aren't using the app and keeping track of your balance and keeping track of the ins and outs of your checking account, then you're going to get hit with those fees. Or if you have to transfer money to somebody, make sure you can do that for free, okay? And if it's not free, then find another way to make it happen, or find a bank that will let you do what you want to do at the lowest possible cost. You shouldn't be paying any fee to a bank. I don't pay any bank fees at all. On my ATM, I have one through my brokerage firm through Fidelity, and they reimburse me for every ATM charge I have. So it's out there. You just have to look for it.
Hey, Doug, I want to give a shout out to the people out there watching. My main man, my golf buddy, high school teammate, and we just came back from Miami playing 2 weeks of wonderful golf. Wayne Ellis, what's up, Butch? And my other high school buddy, we go back like 4 flats on a Cadillac, Michael Wolford. And our favorite two that always are watching, Hey Garnett and Modestine Johnson, what's happening? And my wonderful sister Nolia. Can't forget Nolia, Deborah Joe Lott, and just thank y'all for watching. And our consistent watching frat brother, Charles Clutch Macago. So, though, I want to talk about the void of banking fees for charging checking fees, which could be anywhere from $8 to $15 per month, $8 to $15 by signing up. You can get rid of that by just signing up for direct deposit. I know a lot of y'all know that a lot of people still want to write checks, but I mean, I remember we were doing a thing with the FDIC, Money Smart, and we had teachers across the country, and we were doing this one module on banking, and we had a lesson talking about check writing, and the teacher said, my son is 27 years old. He ain't never wrote a check in his life because they use, online banking. So you could save a lot of money. And ask your bank's checking printing fee. I mean, some checks could be $75 because people want the pretty checks and all that. By paying more bills electronically, you can withgo those fees by paying more bills electronically. And by buying the same 500 checks from Costco for maybe $12 and it maybe costs you $25. People say, what? Most checks are not even printed by banks, though. They're actually printed by third parties, believe it or not. So you can get your own checks and it'll be cheaper. And then I want to talk.
Hey, Bob, and you make a good point there, because when the banks go to the same third parties that you go to, but they add their markup on it. So right. It makes no sense. You go to the originator of the item you're trying to get. That's where you're going to get your lowest cost. The bank's going to charge a markup when they get you something. They don't make checks. They're not in the business of making checks. Go to a check maker to buy, if you're going to buy checks. I mean, or better yet, just use the automatic stuff, and then you don't have to worry about paying checks at all.
At all, exactly. And some banks, these transfer fees, though, for these ACH transfer or wire transfers, they could be anywhere, like a regular bank charge for a standard ACH transfer could be $3. For a wire transfer, it could be $25 to $35, or as much as $45 to wire money internationally. Many banks levy fees for incoming wires too. Like typically they charge $20 for it, except the incoming wire. So to quickly send money to another person in the U.S., check out the peer-to-peer payment services such as Zelle. It offers instant transfer directly to other banks, and at least one member of a transaction might have an account with a participating bank. And that's the key. If, one of your members, one in your family, so might just have a participating account. And most banks, most banks don't charge fees for the service for Zelle. So that's another way to avoid transfer fees and those wire transfer, especially international calls. You can do it now with Zelle.
Yeah. And okay, next we're going to talk about credit, and that's one of those things. That's a moneymaker for me. I looked at my 2021 rewards from credit cards, and I ended up with $2,300 in rewards because I maximized. Now, again, I'm an accountant, and I don't mind keeping various credit cards and having to remember which credit card to use for which transaction. Because, for example, I have a Chase card that I use for Amazon and Whole Foods that I get 5% back on. I have a Costco card that I use for gas, and anything I buy at Costco, I get 4% on gas, and I think 3% on certain things and 2% on certain things at Costco. Then I have a Fidelity card that I get 3% on everything else. And that's not counting my travel cards because of the virus, haven't been traveling very much. But I end up $2,300 on and the only fee I pay is for one of my travel cards for some perks that are worth it to me to have those perks. But credit cards make a mint on fees. They charge, they nickel and dime you to death, and it might not seem like much, a dollar here, a couple dollars there, but it adds up over the years. And so you got to make sure you pay your credit card fee on time. Set it up automatically to pay out of your account. Make sure you allow enough days to account for weekends, holidays, to make sure it gets there on time. And again, if you can, avoid an annual fee unless the value for that annual fee provides you with more than the cost of the annual fee. But there's a zillion no cost, low interest credit cards out there available. And interest charges, man, that's the one we've talked about. You end up, and you ask yourself, if you're paying 18% interest, you're basically paying 20% more than whatever the item costs, especially if you're paying the minimum amount each month. You're basically doubling, tripling, quadrupling the price of the item that you're paying for. Late payment fees, that's another one of those dummy fees where you just don't get your payment in on time. But the thing you got to remember, if you just happen to make a mistake and you typically you typically pay your bill on time, because that actually happened to me once. I had when I had a brain cramp, and I think I changed checking accounts or something, and my automatic payment didn't go through, and I got charged a late fee. But I called them up and said, "Hey, I've been a customer X number of years. I had a change in my accounts. I missed my payment. I got a late fee. Can you give me a pass on this one?" And the lady said, "Oh, sure, we can do that. We can do that one time." And so they waived the late fee, they waived the interest that was accumulating, and got me back to zero. It's another one of those things, and we're going to say this over and over again. A lot of times you just have to ask. You just have to ask. If you travel internationally, make sure you have a card that covers foreign transaction fees, because if you don't, every time you use your card overseas, you'll pay a 3 to 4% surcharge called a foreign transaction fee. And so if you're going to be traveling overseas, make sure your credit card does not charge you for foreign transaction fees.
Hey, on that one, right quick, on the foreign transaction fees, I don't know if people know this, but your ATM, your card, your debit card, you can actually, you get a better exchange rate using your card, your bank card, than going to a foreign exchange utility.
Kiosk, because those things are like loan sharks. Yep. That's a good point, Bob. Those things are like loan sharks. So I always did that when I traveled internationally. I'd stop at the airport, make sure it's a legit ATM, because
that too,
they got a lot of fake ones over there. I'd always stop at the airport and get my local currency at the airport, so I'd have it pay the taxi or whatever else I'm buying. That's a good point, Bob. Yeah, definitely do it at the ATM versus going to those little kiosks, because they'll rip you off pretty easily. Balance transfer fees, you have to watch those, and they throw those out there, and usually the fact that they charge a fee is in little print. And if you happen to use one and you don't understand when that ends, they'll come back and hit you for the interest rates. And the same thing with those 90 days same as cash, or those 1 year same as cash, or 2 years same as cash. If you don't pay it off within the time frame specified in the contract, they go back and get interest from day one. So make sure you're paying attention to what you're signing up for. Okay. Cash advance fees, you should avoid like the plague again, because there's a fee, and you're typically paying interest from when you take the transaction out until it's paid. Watch those over limit fees. Again, that's just not paying attention. Make sure you stay within your limit so you don't have to pay that fee. And return payment fees, another one they hit you for. Again, those are all money makers for the credit card companies. That's how they stay in business. It's just a matter of you managing your money, being on top of it, and not giving them all those little fees that they're after.
I just want to remind people, though, for the over the limit fee, that you can stop those over limited fees by contacting your card issuer and opt out to let them charge you beyond your credit limit, because it also hits your credit and it's also a charge. So opt out of that. And pay attention. Pay attention to your bills, and have alerts set up when it approaches your credit limit, so you can easily keep track of how much you're able to charge and spend on your card. Now, I want to talk about knowing your customer rights, which is the key to getting rid of a lot of these fees. There's almost no need to pay $12 to $17 in credit report fees, because you get a free credit report, one per year, from each of the 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, at annualcreditreport.com. And some states allow a second free report, and you can get additional free reports by filing a fraud alert with a credit bureau every 90 days and asking for one. Now, the catch with getting the free credit report from annualcreditreport.com, and make sure you use annualcreditreport.com, because there is one called free annualcreditreport.com, and it is not free. But this is the catch. They do not give you a credit score. But the thing is, what is more important, which is the credit scores is based on, is what they call risk. What is it called? Risk factors. I'm sorry. And risk factors are, and they have this on your annual report that's free. Risk factors are going over your utility, what they call debt to limit ratio, where if you have $1,000 credit limit and you go over it by 30-40%, they lower your score can get lowered. That's a risk factor. When you're 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late, that's a risk factor. So you don't really need to see the score to really can see the effect that these risk factors have on your credit score. So that's one thing. Then there's these other fees from some of these places, like I don't know, that charge like, I'm not sure if it's like a Credit Sesame or a place like that can charge you $8 to $20. And these are what they call educational scores, because the actual scores that lenders really use is the FICO score, which is calculated, and the major credit bureaus use that. Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian use the FICO, and they make the scores that are actually used available without charge to customers of participating credit card issues. So be careful when you get these scores, because a lot of these other places, and even if they're free, like Credit Karma, I mean, they're good to use, but remember, they're not using FICO. They're using other algorithms to come up with your credit score, and that's not usually what most lenders are using. So be conscious of that.
Okay, and let's talk about mortgage fees. And this is another one that a lot of those you just have to pay attention to. Obviously, paying your mortgage late. Again, that's something that should be on automatic pilot, pay before it gets to a due date, because the penalty for paying late is usually pretty hefty. So make sure you pay your bill. But if you're buying a house, make sure you review your closing statements to make sure all the fees are reasonable and what they should be. I mean, mistakes do happen, and a lot of times your fee could be it could be a mistake. So make sure you understand what your prepayment fees are, your origination fees. And something that most people probably don't realize is that, like the sales agent fees, those things are negotiable. I sold my house 5 years ago in Pittsburgh, and my real estate agent and I agreed that if my house sold within 2 weeks, she would give me a 1% credit on my closing costs, or on the sales fee for selling my house, the sales commission. And 1%. Sold my house for $550,000. That's $5,500 in my pocket. I mean, that's $5,500 tax free. And then when I bought my house here, I negotiated the same thing, a 1% reduction. I paid $440 for this house. I got $4,400 in my pocket for that. And I ended up getting a mortgage, very small mortgage, only because the builder offered a 1%, a $2,000 credit for using their mortgage company. I made sure their rate was the lowest once it was decided to buy a house here, but I made sure their rate was the lowest. And so I said, yeah, I'll use your mortgage company. So I ended up at my closing with a $6,400 credit in closing costs. And so instead of having to actually pay a closing cost, I ended up with money coming into my pocket. Again, those things are negotiable, and find a sales agent that will work with you. And I must admit, I was in a little unique situation. I had moved 9 times during my work career, so I understood the ins and outs of moving. I didn't really need a sales person to drive around and show me this, show me that, and so I was able to negotiate what I needed to do. So a lot of times it's just a matter of asking for a lower fee. Ask to see if you can get a lower fee or reduced fee, and shop around to see if someone else is amenable to giving you the discount that you're asking for. And if one thing we want you to remember from this talk today is everything's negotiable. Everything's negotiable. And the only way you won't get it is if you don't ask. If you ask and they say no, you don't lose anything. But at least try and try to get your fee lower.
Though another thing that people don't realize, about maybe 5, 6 years ago, no, about 6, 7 years ago, they got rid of the HUD-1 settlement sheet, which was like all those 1,000 pages and stuff. I'm not talking about the closing, and they made the closing document 5 pages at the most, and the estimate is like 3 pages. So you can look at that, and they made it really simple that you can see all the fees. For instance, a company was going to charge me 2 fees, $40 fees to mail a document to the title company, and 2 different times. Well, why don't y'all put the 2 documents in one envelope and send it to the title company? But as simple as that fee could have been, or that charge, should I say, it could have been, $40 is $40. But so they made it simpler at the closing documents that you can see. Go down there and read them, y'all, because there's a lot of fees in there that are negotiable. So I want to talk about investing and the fees involved in investing, especially dealing with mutual fund. Never pay mutual fund sales fee, or what they call you have loaded funds. You have no load and load funds. Load funds, front end load is where they charge you as soon as you buy, and charge you a fee as soon as you buy the mutual fund. Then you got back end load, which once you cash it out, they charge you a fee. Then there's no load where there's no fee. And these are front end or load funds. It could be 3% to 8.5% that you pay for the fund shares. So consider buying a true no load fund. And reduce the management fees can tax you, because management fees can tax your balance by as much as 1.5% a year. And over long term, that can hurt your returns. So by shopping for stock funds with fees less than 1% and an index fund with fees less or below 0.4%. And those management, the line item that you can look to see is called the expense ratio. That's one of the management fees they charge you. And it should be less than 1%. No matter what fund, because the more they charge you in expenses in managing your fund, that's money that could be going towards your long-term returns. And look, breaking news. Now I have to look at this, and I looked this up, and it's not definitive, but there is no solid proof that paying a fee to manage your fund is better than not paying a fee. I haven't seen anything dope that's saying that because you pay a load fund, that is going to be more. They're going to manage the fund way better than if you're not paying a loaded fee. So,
no, there is solid proof. If you look at, you get Business Week's annual report that shows the results of the performance of mutual funds. You can see that fees with funds don't do any better than fees that are none. Now, the only exception I would say is where you might want to pay a fee is if you don't want to be involved in picking a mutual fund and you work through a broker who's going to do that for you, and you trust this person and you're willing to let them do that for you. They 9 times out of 10, especially if they work for a large firm, they're going to pick a fund with a load, which is basically their commission. And if you want that expertise, that's basically what you're paying for. But as Bob and I often talk, we talked about this last week. We believe in, you're not trying to hit a home run. You're trying to just invest consistently. You want to be in the broad market. And we are strong, for us personally, we're strong proponents of index funds or a fund that mirrors the S&P 500 or a particular technology or a particular sector, as opposed to picking a particular mutual fund that invests in some particular very small segment, as which would be the case with a fund with a load. So if you don't want anything to do with it, you want a broker to pick your funds, then you'll probably end up paying a fee. And it may be worth it to you because you don't want to be involved in that exercise. But I think for most people, and the people we're talking to, the people we're trying to reach now, pick an index fund. It doesn't charge a fee and has a very, very low expense rate. Bob said 1%. I've seen them as low as 0.5%. And the less money you're paying in fees, the more money you have working for you and getting you where you need to be. Next, we're going to talk about travel fees. And Bob jumped on this earlier, talking about some of the baggage fees and knowing, they charge for overweight if your baggage weighs over 50 pounds. And if you travel a lot and you carry a lot of luggage, then it's worth investing in a little $30. You can buy a little $30 gadget that will weigh your bag to let you know that it's under the limit. It's little things like that to avoid paying an overweight baggage fee. Calling on the telephone now, they sometimes charge you a booking fee. And you can do it online. You can go online and do your fee. You can pack lighter and not have to pay for a bag. A lot of credit cards that don't charge fees may give you a free bag. If you get a card through the airlines, oftentimes they'll have a situation where they won't charge you a bag. Or I do have one, I think it's an American Airlines card. The fee is $95 a year. but you get at least one free bag. It might be 2 free bags, which pays for itself in one trip. And so those are the things you have to look at, because again, they're looking to make money as easy as they can, and you can find ways to avoid it. You can definitely find ways to avoid it.
Though we talked about this before, but we didn't, actually go more in depth into it. But it's dealer prep fees and administrative fees when you're buying a car. The dealers often spring a bunch of fees on you once you've agreed to purchase a car. And a few of them, like the documentation fee for processing work, are difficult to waive, but at least one of them is almost always unnecessary. And that's the dealer prep fee, which can cost hundreds of dollars on new cars in particular. Getting a car primed for leaving the lot is part of a seller's business and requires minimum effort. So watch what they call dealer prep fees or administrative fees.
Yeah, and definitely that's something you look at before you say okay. Okay, before you say okay, you let them know that no, you're not paying that. The MSRP of a car reflects all the costs involved in paying for that car. So you got to make sure you aren't getting basically just putting money in their pocket by paying those little fees. And then you got to watch little things they add after the fact. I'll give you an example. Tinting. I just got rid of my Porsche and I bought a new BMW, and I was looking at one here. I ended up buying it in Pittsburgh from BMW, which is that's where I usually get my BMWs. But I was looking at one down here, and they were charging $495 for the tinting, the window tinting. And down here, you got to have your window tinted because it gets hot as I don't know what. And so I called the service department and said, "Hey, who tints your windows?" And I got the name of the guy who does it, and end up getting my windows tinted for $120. They're charging $495, and again, that's something you wouldn't even look at, but you got to take the time to look at those add-on stuff. Anytime a dealer adds on something, they have a huge markup in it. Another one is the fabric protection. You got to watch. You can buy a bottle of the Scotch Guard and do it yourself. Now, if you're one of those people that real sloppy or got a lot of kids and your seats get jacked up, you might want to pay for it, but realize it's something you can do yourself relatively inexpensively, and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to take care of things like your fabric. And a lot of times now they still try to get you for rust proofing. And I think I told you I worked for the largest coating company in the world, PPG Industries, and we actually years ago came up with a technology that keeps cars from rusting, electrodeposition process. So you don't need rust proofing anymore. As a matter of fact, if you get rust proofing, it can actually cause more issues because it clogs some of the draining holes that the cars have. So you don't need to get rust proofing. So a lot of stuff that they're charging after the fact, you typically don't need, and they typically overcharge tremendously for those things. Another one is car insurance fees. Those are another ones you have to watch. A lot of times your credit card will give you insurance to if you want to be covered and not have to worry about paying a deductible. Because if you have your own insurance will cover you no matter what car you're in, what car you're driving. You have to pay the deductibles or whatever is involved. But again, I have a credit card that covers that. So make sure you know what you're getting. Make sure you understand what's in your deal, so you don't pay for things that you don't need to pay for. Okay, and watch the add-on charges, because those daily damage waivers are crazy. Again, I have a credit card that charges $24 and covers everything from the deductible to any damage I do to a car, and it covers it for the whole period. Okay, so I pay $24 when I do that. That's through American Express, and so I don't ever pay the daily 10, 12, 14 bucks a day for that insurance. I like to having a peace of mind. That's why I pay the 24 bucks, but it's a one-time fee for however many days I rent the car. So again, look at the deals you're getting from your credit cards and make sure you're getting everything you can out of it.
And also make sure you look at the payment, because if sometimes you pay 6 months or pay the annual fee for your car insurance, your regular car insurance, it could be cheaper than paying it monthly. You can save some money there. I'm going to talk real quick about shipping fees. Okay, Amazon Prime. Yes, you pay for a subscription, maybe $99 for the membership fee, but it pays for itself. And you can avoid standard shipping fees by meeting a retailer's minimum or finding a coupon online.
Yeah, and the fee is now $119. It ain't $99 no more. They just went up, so it's $119.
Right.
And if you're smart, you can do like my kids do, who just use my Amazon Prime, so they get free check-in, and I get stuck paying the bill. But or you can go in with somebody and split the cost of Amazon Prime. They don't keep track of where you're living. My son in Philly and my daughter in New York use my Amazon Prime, and they get free shipping. And it's I'm the only one stuck paying the bill, as it usually happens. That's what dads do, you know.
Right.
And another one is make sure, like on my Verizon bill, they give me a little credit for not getting a paper statement. So check and see if somebody's offering a couple of bucks for not getting a paper statement. And it's another way to keep people from stealing your information out of your mailbox, because thieves do that, or your garbage can, by getting it electronically. Of course, you got to make sure you safeguard that too. But that's just another way to make sure you're saving a couple of bucks here and there, getting it electronically instead of through the mail.
And Clutch said utility companies charge a fee if you're not paperless. So you need to check with a lot of companies where you get that paper, because you're used to getting it in the mail. It can save you some money. Another thing Clutch said, it must be hard to keep track of knowing about what credit cards does what. Yeah, that's.
Well, it is. Like I said, I do have to, when I go to Whole Foods, I got to make sure I pull out my Amazon card. When I go to Costco, I got to make sure I pull out my Costco card. And if it's something else, I got to make sure I pull out my Fidelity card to get my 3% on that. But it's a discipline. I'm cheap that way. I keep track of every transaction I make. I try to make it for as little money as possible, and I try to get back as much as I can. Maybe that's just me being a nerdly accountant, but that's how I am. I enjoy counting my 2,300 bucks that I made last year. In fact, I don't pay any interest. I paid no fees. That's just money in my pocket. And that's, again, it's you can do that. Look at your credit card, see what your benefits are, go online. They all have a place online when you can find out what your benefits are, and find ones that fit what you do. If you travel, get a travel card, or maybe a couple of travel cards. And if there is a fee, just make sure it covers what you do. Like I said, me paying 95 bucks to get free baggage on every flight I take is worth it to me. I know I spend more than would spend more than 95 bucks a year on baggage fees. Now, when I was working, because I was gold or whatever the heck I was when I was traveling, I never had to worry about this stuff. But since I'm retired and not traveling near as much as I did when I was working, I make sure I have a credit card that does what I need to do. And that it takes some time and it takes some effort. But we always say, getting wealthy it takes time and it takes effort to make money. But you get into the habit of doing it, you get the discipline, and you start thinking along those lines, and it becomes easier the more you do it.
Good. We got two things left, though. One is extended warranties, and they're usually offered on big ticket electronics like TVs and computers. And it may seem tempting, but don't take the bait. Now, some people feel comfortable getting these warranties, but for most of the products, they already include a manufacturer's warranty. And additionally, you pay for an item with a credit card that offers sometimes purchase protection. You'll have that safety net there too. And homeowners warranty, though, we stop ours because we just started putting money in our savings account, an emergency fund, for if something happened to major to our appliances, because we found we were paying these monthly fees on this home warranty, and when something went bad, they hear me and hard and nickel and diming you and don't want to replace it and want to do a part, don't get back to you until 2-3 weeks, and your refrigerator spoil and stuff. So just be careful with those extended warranties.
Hey, and Bob, let's wrap up with this one, because extended warranties, I have never been a proponent of those, because again, I look leery at something that somebody's selling me, because I'm wondering how they're making money on it, and they're making money on it because the fees are usually, they have to be higher than they pay out, or they wouldn't stay in business. And the only thing I would even consider changing is cars, and I wouldn't personally, because I'm never going to have a car over 4 years old, so I'm never going to have a car out of the manufacturer's warranty. But if you do keep your cars, it's a little different now, because those doggone computers run so much in a car that if that thing goes bad, it's going to be very expensive. I have not looked at all these car warranty deals that are being offered. I mean, I see a zillion Car Shield commercials, and I know there's a zillion others, and I know every manufacturer offers an extended warranty, and they're usually pretty steep. But if you plan on keeping your car, it might be something you want to consider and sit and look at, and see if it's worth you doing. Because once your car out of warranty, if something goes wrong in that computer system, it's not going to be $300-400 to fix. It's going to be thousands of dollars to fix, because those chips control so much in a car.
It controls the whole car. It lets them know what's wrong with the car, though.
Right.
And like my screen went out on my car, and they were wanting to charge me $2,500 to replace it, but I had an extended warranty. But the computer is the most thing, though, that I think need to cover. But it's on people, but sometimes it's unnecessary. And those ones like on TV, like Car Shields and stuff like those independent warranty, third party warranty people's, you need to be careful, because you need to check the fine print, because they don't cover everything. So be careful with that. But though, let's talk about wireless cable and internet plans.
Yeah, well, we're getting kind of late in the day. Why don't we? Yeah, those are ones you just got to pay attention to, and make sure you aren't, paying crazy amounts to upgrade. Again, a lot of times you can ask out of those, and you got fees if you terminate early. Make sure you're paying attention to how long your contract is for, and you don't want to get out early. And again, that's something you may want to get a warranty for. If you've broken a lot of phones and you're susceptible to breaking your phone, you might want to get a warranty on it, because it might cover you. But again, check the credit card that you pay for it, because if you got purchase protection on the credit card,
right,
it'll pay for whatever you pay for the phone. So again, just be aware.
And don't think about this. I got rid of my cable package, which was costing me extra $100 to $120, and I got rid of it. And we just pay $70 for YouTube TV, which has all the channels and local channels, and we stream. I got a Fire Stick, and we just pay for Netflix and I think Disney Plus, and we get everything. And I'm saving $120, so that's about almost $1,400 a year. 5 years, that's $6,000. I mean, so just think about that. So look, we covered a lot, Dope. We hope this was helpful to everybody. So let's bring this home, Dope. Let's sum it all up.
Yeah, and these are pretty basic, but find out what you get for free and what you have to pay for, and understand that what you're paying for is worth it, and make sure you're taking advantage of what you get for free. And like I talked about the credit cards, find out a card or a situation that works for you, that gets you what you use the most.
And if you pay a fee, just make sure it has value. We're not saying, you just don't pay nothing, but if you're going to pay a fee, just make sure sometimes the value values the cost. It's just like anything, if you want it, and you need it, pay for it. But if not, we don't want you to be spending extra money on fees.
And look at it as naive fees versus dummy fees. And dummy fees are when you just do something dumb and you got to pay a fee because you did something dumb. Those are the ones you got to be able to avoid. Late fees, overdraft fees, ATM fees. That's money you are giving away that you don't have to. And naive fees is when you aren't aware that you can avoid a fee. Make sure you know.
And lastly, but just as important, if you pay for any fee, and every fee is negotiable. All you got to do is ask. That's the main thing about all of this, from mortgages to car insurance to airlines to banking to credit cards. It's all about the ask. And that's what most people are just afraid to ask. And you'd be surprised. It's all about the ask.
Cost you nothing. Cost you nothing to ask.
And I'm talking about everything. Everything is negotiable. I'm talking about that toothpaste you buy at CVS, believe it or not, that's negotiable.
And sometimes people want to keep your business more than they want to charge you a fee. So be willing to say, hey, I'll switch, I'll change, unless you waive this fee. And always ask.
And that's why they're willing to make that deal, because they know they're jacking up the price and they're trying to get extra money with all these fees anyway. So they're not losing nothing.
Right.
So you got to ask, Wall. So look, thank you, everybody. Look, man, Brenda Ellison, thank you for looking in, Brenda. Rodney Madison, my main man from FDIC, and my son, Scott Allen. I can't believe, Scott, way to be checking in, trying to get some knowledge from your pops and your Uncle Dote. All right. So, Dote, that's it for us. We here every week. Thank you, everybody. We got wonderful comments. A lot of people say this is very informative information. This is great information. And that's what we try to provide every week. And remember, if you miss a show, this is our 39th show. Dope. Next week is going to be our 40th show. Can you believe that? Wow. And if you missed the show, go out there on the FITT Show page, and you can look up any show. They archive the shows. And then you can also go out on YouTube and look. All our shows are archived, and we've got some great shows, great topics. We got even more great information. But remember, you all, you don't need to be paying unnecessary fees. And that could be the difference of you having some money to invest in this crazy market, or just saving your money. How about that? Being able to have some money when something comes up, that you're able to partake and participate in it. So that's what we're preaching. We're talking about creating wealth, and especially generational wealth. So thank you all for tuning in. Next week, we're here, 8 p.m., the FITT Show, financial information for the day and tomorrow. Dope. Great show. You wonderful. We wonderful, wonderful. So y'all take it easy, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Peace.
Peace.